Our planet, a sphere of breathtaking beauty and endless wonder, holds corners of such exquisite artistry they seem painted by a divine hand, but not every place on this earth welcomes us. In some of these magnificent landscapes, nature has woven a tapestry of deadly traps, where the very air can be poison, the ground can swallow you whole, and the water can dissolve flesh from bone. Here, in these realms of extreme existence, survival is not a given, it is a constant, desperate struggle against forces far older and more powerful than ourselves. I invite you now on a journey into these forbidden territories. We will venture to the most dangerous places in nature, where every human step is a gamble with life and death. We will witness beauty that kills and power that awes, exploring lands where the line between life and oblivion is perilously thin. Here, the rules of our world do not apply, and respect for nature's untamed might is the only currency that matters. This exploration will test our understanding of what it means to be alive on this planet. Watch until the end, and I will reveal what many consider the most dangerous place of all, a location steeped in a mystery that has haunted humanity for centuries, a final testament to the Earth's formidable power. Now, with caution as our guide, let's begin our journey to the first destination. Our first stop is a spectacle of such vibrant color it appears almost otherworldly. This is the Grand Prismatic Spring in Yellowstone National Park, USA. It is the largest hot spring in the country, a vast, steaming caldera painted in dazzling rings of orange, yellow, and green, encircling a core of the deepest, most brilliant blue. It is a vision of natural artistry, a geothermal masterpiece that draws visitors from across the globe, all eager to witness its radiant beauty. But this beauty's a deceptive veil. The vivid colors are not pigments in the water, but rather vast colonies of thermophilic bacteria, each species thriving at a specific searing temperature. The closer to the center, the hotter the water and the fewer forms of life can endure. The intense blue at its heart is the true color of the water, pure and superheated to temperatures exceeding 160 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius. It is a scalding cauldron, hot enough to cause severe life-threatening burns in a matter of seconds. To venture from the designated boardwalks here is to court a horrific fate. The ground around the spring is a fragile, acidic crust, concealing the same boiling water that bubbles within. Countless stories, some tragic, some merely cautionary tales, speak of those who have slipped or strayed. The intensely hot and acidic water is not merely a scalding bath. It is a solvent. Anything organic that falls into its depths, an animal, a person, can be completely dissolved in a matter of hours, leaving no trace behind. It is a stark and brutal reminder of the raw power that simmers just beneath the Earth's surface. The Grand Prismatic Spring is a place where one can gaze upon one of nature's most enchanting creations, but to touch it, to disrespect its boundaries, is to risk being erased from existence. It's a painting that can kill, a jewel that burns, and a profound lesson in the unforgiving physics of our planet. Here, we are merely observers, and we must remain so. We travel now from the geothermal heart of North America to the sprawling watery labyrinth of the Sundarbans on the coast of India and Bangladesh. This is the largest mangrove forest on Earth, a dense, tangled world where land and water are locked in a perpetual dance, dictated by the rhythm of the tides. The air is thick with humidity and the drone of insects, and the silence is broken by the cry of a distant bird or the gentle lapping of water against the intricate root systems of the mangroves. It is a place of immense biodiversity and haunting, ethereal beauty. But this serene facade masks a constant underlying tension. For this is a kingdom of predators, and we are not at the top of the food chain. The murky waters teem with saltwater crocodiles, some of the largest in the world, lying in wait like submerged logs, their patience as deep as the channels they inhabit. Venomous snakes, including the king cobra, slide silently through the undergrowth and hang from the canopy, their presence a constant hidden threat to anyone who dares to walk these muddy banks. Yet, one predator above all else defines the terror of this place, the Royal Bengal tiger. The tigers of the Sundarbans are unique and uniquely dangerous. They are powerful swimmers, perfectly adapted to this amphibious environment, capable of crossing wide rivers in pursuit of prey. They are famously aggressive, and unlike tigers, in other parts of the world, they have a notorious and well-documented reputation for hunting humans. The local villagers, the honey collectors, fishermen, and woodcutters, live in a state of constant vigilance. For them, entering the forest is a necessary gamble. They wear masks on the backs of their heads in a desperate attempt to trick the tigers, which prefer to stalk and ambush from behind. They offer prayers to Bon Bibi, a forest deity, for protection. But still, the attacks continue. Here, the hunter becomes the hunted. The Sundarbans is a visceral, primal world where the ancient fear of being prey is a daily reality, a haunting reminder that in some corners of the earth we are still just a part of the food chain. Our journey now takes us beneath the waves, off the coast of Belize, to a feature that looks like a giant dark pupil staring up from the turquoise sea. This is the Great Blue Hole, a colossal marine sinkhole, over 1,000 feet across and more than 400 feet deep. From the air, it is a perfect circle of deep, foreboding indigo set against the shallow, vibrant reef. It is a geological marvel, a relic of the last ice age when sea levels were much lower, and this was once a dry cave system. Now flooded, it calls to scuba divers like a siren song. To descend into the blue hole is to travel back in time. The upper rim is teeming with life, a bustling coral reef city. But as one goes deeper, the light fades, the water grows still, and the walls of the chasm close in. The vibrant colors of the reef give way to a monochrome world of gray limestone. It is here that the true dangers of this place begin to manifest. The sheer depth is a challenge for even the most experienced divers, pushing the limits of recreational diving. Below 100 feet, divers can experience nitrogen narcosis, a disorienting, intoxicating effect often called the rapture of the deep. Judgment becomes impaired, senses are dulled, and a feeling of euphoria can lead to fatal errors. Compounding this is the risk of powerful, unpredictable undercurrents that can sweep a diver against the cavern's rough, razor-sharp limestone walls. The deeper one goes, the more the abyss seems to exert its own gravitational pull, a silent, crushing pressure. Further down, around 130 feet, the cave system reveals its ancient secrets. Giant, eerie stalactites, formed when this cavern was above sea level. They hang like colossal stone icicles in the silent, dark water. But to linger here is to burn through air at a dangerous rate, making the long, slow ascent back to the world of light and life a race against time. The Great Blue Hole is a geological wonder, but it is also a tomb, a place that rewards hubris with oblivion and demands absolute respect from all who enter its silent, dark embrace. We now find ourselves in the heart of Africa, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, standing in the shadow of a giant. This is Mount Nyiragongo, one of the most active and dangerous volcanoes on the planet. Its silhouette dominates the skyline, a constant, brooding presence over the city of Goma, which lies perilously at its base. The volcano's danger lies not just in its frequent activity, but in the unique and terrifying nature of its eruptions. At its summit is a site of both terrible beauty and immense destructive power, the world's largest and most active lava lake. It is a vast, churning cauldron of molten rock, 2 kilometers wide, that bubbles and spits with ferocious energy. At night, its malevolent red glow illuminates the clouds above, a beacon of the Earth's inner fire. This is not the thick, slow-moving lava we often associate with volcanoes. Nyiragongo's magma is unusually fluid, with a low silica content, allowing it to flow with terrifying speed. When the volcano's crater walls have failed in the past, this liquid fire has poured down its slopes, not as a slow crawl, but as a raging river. In 2002, a fissure opened on its flank, unleashing torrents of lava that moved at speeds of up to 60 miles per hour. The molten rivers tore through villages and flowed into the heart of Goma, destroying thousands of homes, bisecting the city, and forcing hundreds of thousands to flee for their lives. The devastation was absolute. The threat is ever-present. The ground around the volcano is riddled with fractures, and poisonous carbon dioxide gas, invisible and odorless, seeps from the earth, silently killing vegetation and posing a lethal threat to people and animals. The people of Goma live with the knowledge that at any moment, the mountain could awaken again. Nyiragongo is not just a geological feature, it is a ticking time bomb, a stark and powerful demonstration of how life can exist and be extinguished at the whim of the planet's fiery core. From the fire of the Congo, we journey to the ice of the Himalayas. We are now in Tibet, on the northern face of Mount Everest, confronting the immense and treacherous Rangbuk glacier. This colossal river of ice is the primary route for climbers attempting to scale the world's highest peak from this side. It is a landscape of surreal beauty, a chaotic jumble of ice towers, or seracs, that jut towards the sky like frozen skyscrapers, sculpted by the relentless forces of wind and sun. The colors here are stark brilliant white snow, deep blue ice, and the dark gray of exposed rock. But this crystalline wonderland is one of the most hostile environments on Earth. The first enemy is the cold. Temperatures here plummet to unimaginable lows, far below freezing, capable of causing severe frostbite in minutes on any exposed skin. The air is brutally thin, containing only a fraction of the oxygen found at sea level, making every step an exhausting, lung-searing effort. The body begins to break down and the mind can become clouded and confused. The second enemy is the weather, which is notoriously fickle and violent. A clear, calm day can transform into a raging blizzard with terrifying speed. Winds howl down the glacier, creating whiteout conditions where visibility drops to zero, and the distinction between sky and ground vanishes. To be caught in such a storm is to be lost in a disorienting, frozen hell, with little hope of finding shelter or one's way back to the fragile safety of camp. The greatest danger, however, lies hidden beneath the snow. The glacier is not a solid sheet of ice, but a moving, fractured mass, riddled with bottomless crevasses. These deep chasms, sometimes hundreds of feet deep, are often concealed by a thin, fragile blanket of snow, creating a deadly trap for the unwary climber. One wrong step can send a person plunging into the frozen darkness, a fall from which there is often no escape. The Rangbuk Glacier is a place that demands humility and immense skill. It is a beautiful frozen graveyard that has claimed many who have dared to challenge it. Our travels now lead us to what many call the cruelest place on Earth, the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia. This is a region that looks less like a part of our world and more like the surface of a hostile alien planet. It is one of the lowest and hottest places in the world, a vast basin lying more than 100 meters below sea level, where temperatures regularly soar above 50 degrees Celsius, or 122 degrees Fahrenheit. The heat is not just oppressive, it is a physical blow, a constant, draining force that saps the life from all who enter. The landscape is a surreal mosaic of geological chaos. Vast salt flats stretch to the horizon, their white crust cracking under the relentless sun. Volcanoes spew poisonous gases, and the air is thick with the acrid smell of sulfur. But the most striking features are the hydrothermal fields, like Denali. Here, geothermal heat pushes mineral-laden water to the surface, creating a bubbling, psychedelic landscape of acid pools, sulfur springs, and salt formations in shades of lurid yellow, vibrant green, and rusty orange. This otherworldly beauty is profoundly dangerous. The ground is a fragile crust over boiling, acidic water. The pools that shimmer so invitingly are cauldrons of sulfuric and hydrochloric acid, capable of dissolving metal. The air itself is a toxic cocktail. Pockets of chlorine and sulfur gas, heavier than air, can accumulate in low-lying areas, creating invisible, odorless traps that can suffocate an unsuspecting visitor in moments. It is a landscape that actively tries to kill you. Despite these hellish conditions, life, in its most resilient form, clings on. The Afar people, a nomadic tribe, have navigated this landscape for centuries, undertaking arduous journeys to mine salt from the flats, which they transport by camel caravan. Their survival here is a testament to human endurance and adaptation. But for the unprepared, the Danakil Depression is a fatal environment, a place where the earth reveals its most extreme and inhospitable face. So, we now plunge back into the ocean, this time heading to a narrow channel of water off the coast of South Africa, between Dyer Island and Geyser Rock. This unassuming stretch of sea has earned a chillingly appropriate name, Shark Alley. It's not dangerous because of its currents or its depth, but because of its inhabitants. This area is actually one of the most densely populated feeding grounds for the ocean's apex predator, the great white shark. The reason for this incredible concentration of sharks is simple: food. Geyser Rock is home to a colony of like 60,000 Cape Fur seals. For the great whites, this is a reliable year-round buffet. The channel separating the seals' home from their hunting grounds, in the open ocean, is the gauntlet they must run, and the sharks lie in wait. The waters here, honestly, are a stage for one of nature's most dramatic and brutal spectacles of predation. The power of these animals is just breathtaking. With explosive force, they launch themselves from the depths, hitting a seal at the surface with such velocity that their entire bodies breach the water. It is a display of raw, unrestrained power. This behavior has made Shark Alley a global hotspot for shark cage diving, an activity that lets humans have a terrifyingly close encounter with these magnificent predators from the relative safety of a steel cage. But even this is not without risk. The sharks, drawn by the bait used to attract them, can be frenzied and unpredictable. There have actually been instances where sharks, in their powerful lunges, have accidentally breached or become entangled in the cages, creating moments of sheer terror for the divers inside. Shark Alley is a place that brings us face to face with our primal fears. It's a reminder that the ocean is a wilderness, and in this wilderness, the great white shark reigns supreme. Our quest for Earth's extremes takes us to the most remote and desolate continent of all, Antarctica. But, we are not heading to the ice cap. Instead, we are venturing to one of the strangest places on the planet, the McMurdo Dry Valleys. This is a row of snow-free valleys that in the context of the world's largest ice sheet, honestly just seems impossible. It is the coldest, driest, and windiest desert on Earth, a place so alien and hostile that it is often used by scientists to simulate conditions on Mars. The reason for this anomaly is the surrounding trans-Antarctic mountains, which are so high they block the flow of ice from the polar plateau. Furthermore, powerful katabatic winds, where cold, dense air is pulled downhill by gravity, howl through the valleys at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour. These winds heat up as they descend and evaporate any and all moisture, scouring the landscape clean of snow, ice, and, ultimately, life itself. The cold here is a constant, profound presence, with average annual temperatures around -20 degrees Celsius. It is so cold and so dry that almost nothing can survive. There are no plants, no animals. Even bacteria struggle to exist here. The ground is a barren pavement of gravel and loose rock, a landscape that has remained virtually unchanged for millions of years. It is a place where time itself seems to be frozen. Within this lifeless expanse, there are bizarre features like the hauntingly named Blood Falls, where an iron oxide-rich plume of salt water flows from the tongue of a glacier, staining the ice a shocking red. It is a trickle of life, a hidden ecosystem of microbes trapped beneath the ice, a stark contrast to the sterile world outside. The McMurdo Dry Valleys are a profound lesson in the absolute limits of life, a place on our own planet that is as close to the void of space as one can get. We return to Africa, to northern Tanzania, to a body of water that seems to belong in a dark fairy tale. This is Lake Natron, a salt and soda lake of startling and deadly beauty. Its shallow waters often have a reddish or pink hue, a result of salt-loving microorganisms that thrive in its unique chemistry. Flocks of lesser flamingos, one of the few creatures that can tolerate these conditions, wade through the shallows, creating a scene of surreal, picturesque tranquility. But this lake holds a macabre secret. The water of Lake Natron is extremely alkaline, with a pH as high as 10.5, almost as alkaline as ammonia. It is also rich in a chemical compound called natron, a mixture of sodium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate that flows in from surrounding volcanic hills. This unique chemical cocktail is incredibly caustic, capable of burning the skin and eyes of most animals that are not adapted to it. The lake is, in essence, a chemical trap. The most chilling aspect of Lake Natron is what happens to the creatures that die in its waters. The high concentration of natron acts as a fantastic preservative, just as it was used by the ancient Egyptians for mummification. Birds and other animals that perish and fall into the lake are calcified. Their bodies are hardened, preserved in stone-like detail, and wash ashore as eerie gray statues. They are frozen in their final living pose, a haunting testament to the lake's lethal power. Photographers have famously collected these calcified creatures and posed them, creating ghostly dioramas of a world turned to stone. While the flamingos have evolved to withstand the caustic water, building their nests on salt islands to protect their young, for almost all other life, Lake Natron is a place of death. It is a beautiful silent killer that turns living beings into monuments of their own demise, a natural gallery of the dead. Here stands a mountain of immense scale and unforgiving nature, Denali. Formerly known as Mount McKinley, its name, given by the local Koyukon people, means the Great One, and it is a name well earned. As the highest peak in North America, it rises over 20,000 feet, but its true might comes from its dramatic vertical relief, rising some 18,000 feet from its base, a greater rise than even Mount Everest. Denali's danger stems from a brutal combination of factors. Its high latitude means the atmosphere is thinner, and barometric pressure is lower than on equatorial mountains of similar altitude. This makes climbers feel as if they are even higher than they are, exacerbating the effects of altitude sickness. But the most relentless foe on Denali is the cold. It is one of the coldest mountains in the world, with temperatures that can plummet to -75 degrees Fahrenheit, and winds that can exceed 100 miles per hour. The weather is legendarily severe and unpredictable. The mountain creates its own weather systems, and storms can materialize out of clear skies, trapping climbers for days or weeks in their tents. The combination of extreme cold and hurricane-force winds creates a wind chill that is almost instantly lethal. Frostbite is a constant threat, claiming fingers, toes, and even lives. The terrain itself is a gauntlet of glaciers, deep crevasses, and steep, ice-covered slopes. Climbing Denali is a true expedition, requiring weeks of hauling heavy sleds and establishing a series of high camps in a battle of attrition against the mountain's defenses. It has one of the lowest success rates of any major peak, and many who have tried have not returned. Denali is the epitome of raw, untamed wilderness. It is a place that tests the absolute limits of human endurance and reminds us that some giants on this earth will never be fully tamed. We have journeyed to the edges of our world and our endurance, from the boiling springs of Yellowstone to the frozen peak of Denali. We have witnessed landscapes that stun with their beauty and terrify with their power. These places, the toxic lake, the tiger-haunted forest, the crushing abyss, are not evil. They are simply Earth, unfiltered and untamed. They operate on a geological and biological timescale that is indifferent to our fleeting human presence. They are a powerful and necessary reminder of our vulnerability. These hostile environments force us to confront the reality of our planet. They teach us respect, humility, and the incredible resilience of life that finds a way to exist in the most extreme conditions. Our journey to these dangerous places is not just about seeking thrills or tempting fate. It is about understanding the full spectrum of nature's character, its creative genius, its destructive force, and its profound, often terrifying indifference. We are but guests here, and it is a privilege we should never take for granted. From the fiery heart of a volcano to the lifeless valleys of Antarctica, we have seen that our planet holds wonders beyond our wildest imagination and dangers that command our utmost respect. And if you think these places are terrifying, remember, the most dangerous place of all is still out there, waiting to be discovered. The Earth still holds its secrets close. Stay curious, stay safe, and never, ever underestimate the power of nature.